You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Glad you could join me here today on our Total Wellness Tuesday, where we are about to get into the 7 most common signs you need a detox. Now, I want to explain that we are not going to go through today the differences between a cleanse and a detox and detox teas and juicing. What I want to go through is a functional medicine principle that we use to help people decrease their total body burden. This means using science to actually decrease the amount of toxins and the load on the body. And if you don't know about this, if you're new to basically the world of toxins, what you want to think of is that in the modern world, so let's say after the 1900s, but definitely after 1950, we had over 77,000 man-made chemicals put into our environment, and more every year. It just starts to accumulate every year. These are things that we know about, like plastics and pesticides. There are the phthalates and the sodium lauryl sulfate, the things in our shampoo, the lead in women's lipstick that you don't even know about, right? The chlorine in your water, the fluoride in your water that you don't think about. And so what we're talking about today is not that your body can't maintain and push through in daily life. It can. But that doesn't mean it's optimal. And it also doesn't mean that your body's not breaking down day after day dealing with this toxic load. So there's actually a scientific term for it, and it's called total body burden. I talked about this in the rain barrel effect, and what it means is that every day, your rain barrel is being filled up just a little bit. And when it overflows, well, that's when we get our first symptoms of dis-ease. We get the Hashimoto's or rheumatoid arthritis, or we get pick your disease, right? So I had type 2 diabetes and I had Addison's disease and POTS, which stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. But maybe yours is somewhat a little lighter and it's not diagnosed disease, but it is migraines, or it might be something like rosacea or acne or water retention, right? So we're going to go through those today. And what I want to do is these are just things that start to creep up over time. And if we don't watch for it, we don't know that these things are ultimately what fill up the rain barrel and that would lead to more serious complications in terms of our health. Now, what is the way that we obviously reverse this? Well, I don't know if it's so obvious because I didn't know about this until I really studied it. And I didn't know about this until I saw it put into practice when I did my internships overseas in Ayurvedic-based medicine. So, what we did and what we look at is the process of removal. So as your rain barrel begins to fill up, again, it makes sense to me now, but unless we're told this, we just never really know. But as our rain barrel begins to fill up, there's only one thing to do that ultimately really heals us, and that's to empty that rain barrel. You can always add more in. You can do that, and you can add in more good food and more exercise. But the problem is this: we have more of everything in the world that we live in. For the majority of us, again, those listening to this podcast that are fortunate enough to be able to live in a world of plenty, and everything's there, right? So you might not be able to always buy organic and all of those things, but you get access to food. And so my goal for you is to really look at the process of, and it's one of the reasons why intermittent fasting is so popular now, is we actually have to begin to subtract. But we have to do it in a smart way. So I want to end the show with giving you exactly what you need to do. And I've talked about that on previous shows. I think episode 823. I'm going to look that up for you right now to make sure that is for sure the show. But I believe, they're all at stephencabral.com/podcast. But I believe is 823, and I'm going to confirm that right now. That's the right way to complete a 7, 14, or 21-day detox. So for sure, I'll link that up in today's show notes. Today's show notes are over at stephencabral.com/1222. 1222 is today's show. You can find any images I drop over there. You can definitely find episode 823 over there. We'll link to that as well. So let's go through the 7 most common signs. Again, there are other signs, right? I already named a few, but I want to go through the ones that I see every day in my practice that for sure are leading to all sorts of eventual health-based issues. And these ones, they just continue to accumulate. So the first one is this. I touched on it last week, and it was on episode, let's see if I can find it. It was on food cravings. It was episode 1216. So StephenCabral.com/1216. That was about food cravings and why you may still have them. Well, one of the reasons for sure is that food cravings are there because your body is in more of a toxic state. And let me tell you why. So we talk about the word toxic and people are like, oh, there's no such thing. But of course, there's such a thing because you can run a toxicity lab and it can actually find these things in your body. And it's not a hard lab to run. It's a simple urine-based test. And it actually, so that's the thing is anybody tells me like, oh, I don't believe any of toxins. Well, here's the thing. We've already proven this. I talked about numerous studies in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. And really what I did was I shared with people, there was a very skeptical journalist from National Geographic. Again, this was over 2 decades ago. And he said, well, prove to me that there's this whole thing about toxicities. And so they did. They ran a lab, a blood lab, and they ran just a couple hundred tox screens for him. So it's one, he didn't do it 200 times, but he ran one blood lab and they ran a couple hundred different toxins against his blood. And they found dozens in his blood. And these are things such as pesticides and even DDT, which has been outlawed since the 70s. So again, these things don't necessarily break down in the environment because they are so toxic. They're not biodegradable. So obviously he became a believer, wrote about it, spoke about it. But I don't think we need to go any further than the study done by the World Health Organization, or at least made famous by the World Health Organization, or the Environmental Working Group, I should say. And the study was quoted. It's called 10 Americans. Anyone can look this up. And with 10 Americans, you can also type it into StephenCabral.com/podcast. You'll find the video. So what this looked at was that these 10 Americans, they were only tested for 400 different toxins and chemicals, many of which we know cause cancer. So they're only tested 400. We know there's over 77,000 here in the United States, and there's still many tens of thousands over in Europe and other places as well. But here's the thing. They tested for 400, and they found an average of over 223, I believe, to be exact, out of 400. That means they found more than 50% of those as an average, and some with over 300. So that's pretty scary. Here's what's scarier. The 10 Americans that they studied were unborn children. People ask me all the time, well, do you think that I have toxicities? Well, out of just these 10 children, they didn't find any, and so there's no correlation between the 10 children as well. They didn't find any without toxins, and the average was over 200 different toxins, and they only tested for 400. So to me, this is pretty scary stuff. We come into life holding these toxins because, simply put, our moms have the toxins inside of us. The toxins move from the mom's blood through the fetal cord blood and into us, which is essentially how we're fed. So this is no longer a discussion that we live in a toxic world and that we are harboring toxins. Yes, our liver's dealing with it on a daily basis. That's why I never fully understand, I get it, don't get me wrong. I know this is just the internet that we live in, but, people saying you don't need a detox, just eat good, clean, whole food. Sure, that absolutely does work. Don't get me wrong. But if you're breathing the air, if you're drinking any tap water, and if you're putting anything on your body and it's not completely natural, you're going to be exposed. But the other thing is this. Again, you're living in a world of toxins. You walk by and there's pesticide on grass. And again, you go out to a restaurant and there's ice cubes, and those ice cubes have chlorine in them. They have fluoride in them. And you're being exposed to that, and they have arsenic in them. So I think we have to be careful with, just telling people things that, just aren't known by the general population. Again, I didn't even know this. I was not familiar with this until about 2008, I would say, 2008, right around there, 2009, not to this extent. So it'd be like me trying to give advice in anything but natural health. I'm simply not qualified. But I just get a little worried for people being like, you don't really need it. Well, you do. And I'm going to give you all the different vitamins and minerals to detox your body every quarter, which is what I recommend. And of course, on a daily basis, just at a lower level for most people so that they don't have to worry about it. Because at the end of the day, I don't want you to live in fear, and I don't want you to worry. Believe me, I know this stuff inside and out. This is my life. I live it and I love it, but I don't worry about it. I certainly do not worry about it on a daily basis. When I go out to a restaurant, I know most likely if I'm eating fish, it's not wild. I do my very best. I know the vegetables aren't always going to be organic. I'm out with friends. We go to this restaurant. It's not the best, but here's what I can do though. I can support myself on a daily basis. I can not worry, which is great because I'm not adding more stress to my body. But the other thing is I just know that I'm going to be doing a detox every 12 weeks. So for me, it's just like, okay, yes, I'm not going to be perfect. The world isn't perfect, but together we'll all be fine. So let me give you some of those symptoms that just might see how full your rain barrel may be getting in terms of needing a detox. And again, there are others, but these are 7 very common signs. So the first one is food cravings and sugar cravings. And this is because the body starts to get worn down. And I'll talk about this in just a moment. But it will look towards processed carbs, meaning easy to digest because the digestive system can be weakened as well. The body will look towards sugary foods that can provide a quick pick-me-up. And it's also going to help with just like the dopamine and the serotonin and that stimulus to the brain. So a lot of people, as they become more and more toxic, and by toxic we mean basically the liver is working harder and harder to detox and really clean the blood every day. That's what the liver's job is. And again, I'm going to link up episode 823 that tells you really how to do all of this. But that liver is that organ underneath the right side of your rib cage that filters all of the blood in your body every 6 minutes. And it works hard, and it does that every second of the day. But it needs support because it was never meant to filter all of the things that it sees now today in the environment. Okay? So sugar food cravings, absolutely. That's a huge one. Number 2 is this, and I would even say caffeine is in there too, right? The more caffeine you need, most likely the more you need to keep going, right? To keep all that body moving. And I'll get to that in my number 3. But let's talk about number 2, inflammation and joint pain. Now, you might say inflammation and joint pain could come from everything and anything. And I agree with you. It can, right? It can come from food sensitivities. It can come from poor digestion. It can come from intestinal permeability. But here's the thing. Let's say you have food sensitivities. Let's say you have intestinal permeability. Well, intestinal permeability is the ability for proteins, which are essentially amino acids, or bacteria, or yeast, or anything to slip through your gut wall. But here's where it goes next. It's going to move through what's called the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, the lymph system, but it's also going to be filtered through the liver. And so the liver is also trying to filter out all of the stuff, we'll put it that way, all the food-based particles, the broken down fats, which we call lipids, and sugars that we call glucose, or whatever molecule that it's breaking down to, the number of saccharides and sugar bonds, as well as your proteins, which break down to amino acids. Well, it has to filter all of that, and it has to filter heavy metals, or it has to filter the fluoride that you just drank from your tap water, or it has to, if you're in your shower, you're breathing in the air, you don't even know it, but you're breathing in chlorine vapors, and that chlorine moves directly through your lungs and into your bloodstream. Extremely harmful, right? Well, your liver has to now try to digest. That's what it actually does, and it breaks down the chlorine molecules to try to remove that from your body, because very dangerous gas. That's what chlorine is. So here's the thing. All of this back and forth fighting versus the environment can create inflammation. The white blood cells are activated. The body's working hard. And when this happens, it could affect any number of things in your body. Headaches is a big one. A lot of people don't realize how headaches are absolutely related to detox-based issues. Food sensitivities can be part of that, and overall inflammation. Joint pain is a big part of it. Joint pain has to do with the same exact things: intestinal permeability, food sensitivities. Now, it could be intestinal permeability, leaky gut, or it could be food sensitivities to things like oxalates. Very, very possible. And again, if you don't know what oxalates are, just go over to stevencabral.com/podcast. There's a search bar there, and just type in oxalate, OXALATE. And you'll be able to find out all about oxalates as well and how they may be causing your joint pain. Okay, so the third one, is fatigue. And I said I wanted to kind of move back to this because fatigue can cause a number of things. Now, you might not actually be really tired right now, but you might be experiencing the puffy face in the morning when you wake up, the swollen eyes, the needing to reach for that caffeine to get you going, the wanting to reach for processed food or candy or anything that's a kind of a pick-me-up. So I mean, fatigue is anything but natural energy. So when you wake up in the morning, do you have natural energy? The answer is a yes or a no. And if it's a no, we need to know why. It's not natural energy if you feel good after drinking caffeine. I'm not saying you can't have a cup of coffee in the morning. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can't have a gallon or a carafe of coffee in the morning. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying a cup of the coffee in the morning. If you test, you run your thyroid adrenal hormone lab, that at-home lab that tells you what your cortisol levels are like and hormone levels and thyroid, and everything's good, then everything's good. I don't have a problem. I'm not going to take someone's morning cup of coffee away from them, especially if they love it and it's loaded with antioxidants, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to be a little bit hesitant to say it's okay if their hormones don't say it's okay. It's not my job to dictate what someone can or can't do. It's my job to read their lab or their symptoms or help them in any way that I can to say that this isn't working for your body right now. It doesn't mean that it may not be able to work in the future, but for sure, right now, it's not working. And we can, again, we can learn these things from labs. But I would also ask though, do you need the coffee? And that's the big thing. Like, I like to drink coffee. I don't do it every day, but I actually do quite enjoy it. Not a lot. I can't do more than a cup anyways because it doesn't make me feel great. It's like, it just kind of puts me over that edge. Like, oh, that was a bit too much. Because I have the energy now, so I have to be careful how much caffeine I put in my body. But the thing is that if you enjoy it and you want it, great. I do like that of what it does for the cardiovascular system, and I like what it does in terms of antioxidants, but you don't need it, that's for sure, right? Not necessarily put in the health food-based category, even though it has a lot of antioxidants. What I'm saying is that if you need it for fatigue, there's an issue for that fatigue, and it's most likely not helping in the long run. So we have to be really careful with that. And sometimes fatigue is simply that you need to empty your rain barrel and lighten your total body burden, or total toxic load is another name for how the body builds up under chemical-based sensitivity. So total toxic load and total body burden, two amazing things that I learned about through, and again, this is modern day scientific medicine. In Ayurveda, we call it ama. It's ama, A-M-A, and ama builds up in the body over time with poor digestion, with stress, with being exposed to things that are not right for your constitution and your body. Or it would be something like you were exposed to chemicals, because even previously there were chemicals, there was heavy metals for sure, thousands of years ago as well. So, we look at ama, we look at toxins in every form of medicine. And now the nice thing was, many thousands of years ago, we would just go through panchakarma. We wouldn't need all the different nutrients that our liver uses. And I agree with that, honestly. I do. Probably like right up to about the 1800s. I really agree with that. Because the natural hygienists used to take people into nature. They would do mineral spring baths. They would do forest bathing. They would do, which is basically walking around in nature, lot of rest, water-based fasting, and people would be good. But now, you should see the Herxheimer-based reactions from people just trying to water detox, because they're deficient in a lot of the vitamins and nutrients that your liver needs. And a lot of these chemicals now are what's called fat-soluble chemicals. They're gases. They're other things like that, haloid bodies that I'm going to talk about in just a second, that you actually need some pretty strong support to get these out of your body. If not, you bring them back into circulation, and that's actually when they can cause more free radical damage, more inflammation, and even make their way to your brain. So I want to talk about that as well. All right. Number 4 is water retention. It's an important one. A lot of people, I talk about this all the time. They're not, and I'm going to talk about, let me talk about these together. All right. So number 4 is water retention, and number 5 is stubborn body fat. Couple things around this. So first of all, when your body's inflamed or it's toxic, it holds more water. Let me just tell you exactly why. So let's say you're cooking in aluminum foil, you're not using a shower filter, you're drinking tap water because your city said it was just fine, which, by the way, hopefully you're listening to my Friday reviews where I talk about how it's not fine. And because again, they're not testing for all these things. So, what happens is you're taking in quite a bit of chemicals on a daily basis. You're not using natural shampoos or natural conditioner or natural oils on the skin for moisturizing or natural toothpaste, using, really chemical-laden cosmetics. I could go on, but I won't. So here's the thing. I just want to mention a couple more. Toxic laundry detergents, that's a huge one that nobody talks about. Again, the cooking on aluminum foil, the use of Teflon-based pans, all of these things. We know that they cause cancer. We know that, right? I talk about this in the rain barrel effect, but here's the thing. We don't have to worry about it because we can't empty our rain barrel. But the other thing is this. You might be like, why is my body looking so puffy, right? So swollen. And a lot of times it's this, the body takes these toxins and it puts them in your adipose tissue, which is your fat cells. A lot of people don't know this, but we don't gain fat as we don't gain more cells as we age. What happens is we fill those fat cells to a larger degree. This swells the fat cells because as the toxins are kind of hidden away in your fat cells, so it takes it out of the blood, what happens is that it swells the fat cells because water follows these toxins. So your body actually does look more puffy and swollen because it's holding on to a lot more water. And this is what I call toxic water weight. Very, very important to remember that one. Now, what does that lead to? Well, sometimes it can lead to stubborn body fat, meaning that you have 5 pounds more to go, 10 pounds more to go, 15 pounds would be like the maximum, and your body is just toxic. And it's not going to allow you to always break down, which we call oxidize, all of this body fat, because if it oxidizes and breaks down that body fat, what's going to happen is, sure, it's going to liberate all of the lipids inside of the fat, but it's going to go into your bloodstream. And as that happens, so come the toxins as well. And your liver and kidneys and your body better be ready to handle all of those toxins. Because if they're not, you're going to have headaches, skin rashes, you're going to have brain fog, fatigue, low mood. You might have the food cravings, the joint pain, poor sleep, heart arrhythmias. I mean, the list goes on and on, but these are Herxheimer-based reactions. And again, we know these. The conventional medicine talks about them, right? So if you're a conventional medicine-minded person, I'm talking conventional medicine-wise. Every doctor that goes to school studies toxicology, okay? That is a standard course. Naturopathic doctors study it. Conventional medicine doctors study it. Everybody studies it. Dentists study it. I believe chiropractors study it. You have to study that to understand how the body's works with toxins. I mean, this is really important stuff. How the white blood cells, how the liver, how the kidney, how the spleen, everything works together. How the hepatoportal duct, which is how the liver gets rid of these toxins right in the intestines, okay? And I'll talk about that in just one moment. The next sign is this, bad breath or body odor. Extremely important to talk about this as well. Here's why. With the buildup of toxins in the body, now maybe it's candida overgrowth, maybe it's bacterial overgrowth, maybe it's H. pylori, low stomach acid, but yeah, halitosis, bad breath. Think about it. Your system is literally backing up. Think of a garbage disposal that hasn't been emptied or trash that hasn't been emptied. It's going to start to smell. Our bodies will push it out through the pores, right? We know that it does that because we can look at someone's sweat after they do a sauna and we can find heavy metals, we can find mold, we can find other toxic metabolites being pushed through the skin. And your breath as well. How do we know that? Well, one is it can change the actual bacteria in your mouth from an aerobic-based bacteria to an anaerobic-based bacteria, which can actually cause a lot of tooth decay, wearing away the enamel that only holistic or biological dentists even really know about. Naturopathic doctors, study this, but most even dentists don't know about this, that it's the anaerobes or the bacteria in your mouth that actually cause most cavities. So this is an important one to look at because you have to understand your body can huff out toxins through your lungs. It can sweat out toxins through your skin. The preferential way is to get them to the liver and then move them into your intestines and then allow you to just harmlessly have a bowel movement, 1 or 2 a day, and just move all of that out of the body. That's the best and easiest way to do it. Okay, the other way is through your urine, and that can happen as well. Okay, so again, through our urine, through our stool, those are the main ways. Sweat, but I mean, again, that's the thing I tell people, exercise has so much more to do than just getting the heart pumping, the lungs pumping, or the muscles being worked. Sweating allows for the exchange of oxygen, but it also allows for toxins to be pushed through the skin. So you can do that through a sauna or you can do it through formal exercise. Okay, my last one for today before I pull everything together is one of the best reasons for a detox is when you're stuck in a rut or you just literally feel like you're not making progress anywhere. I talk about this as kind of like hitting the reset button. It's one of my favorite things to do, and that's why I just build it into my life. Every January, every end of March or early April, the week before the 4th of July, and then mid-September. So basically, it's a fall, winter, spring, and summer detox, just like they did in Ayurvedic times every season. You would detox, you would get rid of the accumulation from the last season, and you'd be ready for the next season. It's a great way to deal with allergies and headaches. And again, what I went over today, food cravings and sugars, because you might start to let more of those kind of cheat meals or flex meals slide in. Inflammation, joint pain, fatigue, dealing with caffeine-based issues, water retention, stubborn body fat, bad breath, body odor, etc. And, a lot of what I like to do, because I've been doing them for quite a while, is to get myself back on track. It's like, all right, hit the reset button, 7 days, every 12 weeks, start with a 21 day if you've never done it before, and then, maintain with your 7 days. You can always do more, but 7 days is great. And you do that every 12 weeks, and it's super simple. You don't need to change your life. So how do you do one of these functional medicine detoxes? Again, if you've never heard about it, I go through it about 30 pages in the Rainbow Effect, quite in depth, but you can just listen to episode 823. And now I have other podcasts as well. So you can always just, go to StephenCabral.com/podcast, type in functional medicine detox. You'll find some shows there too. But here's the thing, and I'm going to put the graphic today. So I'm actually going to give you this. I mean, again, this is strictly science-based. This isn't, saying like, oh, I need to do a detox tea. A detox tea is not a detox, okay? It's not a detox. It's a nice marketing term, but it's not a detox. A detox actually ramps up what's called phase 1 and phase 2 liver detox. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm going to outline it so that you know what it is, and then you can listen to episode 823 if it makes sense for you for continuing education. So I'm going to put the image at StephenCabral.com/1222. That's today's episode. Okay. So here's the thing. Simply put, there are two main phases of liver detox. Okay. Well, there's two phases of liver detox, all right? I talked about a third phase of detox that happens in the gut, but really there's two phases, okay? So this is what happens. We get some type of toxin moved into our body. Now, I'm talking about maybe accumulated toxins right now, right? So we're burning some body fat, and our body's saying, okay, release those stored calories, because that's basically what body fat is, right? So we release those stored calories, and along with it comes all sorts of different chemicals. Now, maybe those chemicals are some type of microorganism or bacteria. Maybe it's the insecticide that you spray on your body for bug spray. Maybe it's pesticides from the foods that you've eaten. Maybe it's food dyes, like you drank a colored Gatorade or something like that before. It could be previous drugs that your body is still holding on to. That happens, believe it or not. And I talked about this in depth before as well. It could be pollutants from the environment. It could be gases, could be chlorine, could be fluoride. And what your body does, just for example, like let's say it's a bromine or fluoride or it's chlorine, these things are called halogens. And what happens in phase 1 is your body dehalogenizes these products, breaks them down, and makes them more harmless. So how does it do that? I mean, this is called the oxidation process or the hydrolysis-based process, or the technical term is cytochrome P450 pathway. And it uses enzymes to break down these harmful chemicals. Again, that's the beautiful thing about our body. We don't need to know exactly how it works, but we need to support it. So we give it vitamin B2, we give it vitamin B3, we give it vitamin B6, we give it vitamin B12, we give it natural folate, we give it glutathione or the precursors to glutathione, which are glycine and taurine, and we can give it some glutamine, right? So they give a lot of things. N-acetylcysteine helps, selenium helps, and then we give it plenty of antioxidants. And those antioxidants help with the second phase where your body is turning this really harmful fat-soluble metabolite eventually into a water-soluble metabolite. But there's an intermediary process. Because again, most people get their vitamins every day. They do. Most people, especially listening to this podcast. But now they might be lacking on the copper, the zinc, the manganese, right? The selenium. And you can find those, if you're good or not, on a hair tissue mineral analysis. You can just run that simple at-home lab test, right? So all of those things, your vitamin A as well, will help to then move it down to the secondary pathway so it doesn't damage your tissues or create more inflammation or Herxheimer reactions. And it moves it into this phase 2 pathway. And here's what happens. It's something called sulfation. We use sulfur-based amino acids. It's super simple. I'm going to explain what those are in 1 second. It's called glucuronidation. We use glutathione, acetylation, methylation. That's why, people are all worried about their methylation pathways being blocked or broken down because of genetics. Listen, I understand that. I worried about that, many years ago now, back in 2007, 2008, when my mentor was teaching me about it. But here's the thing. you're going to get your methylated B vitamins. We're going to help you with those pathways. Don't worry about that. Don't believe your genetics are not going to allow you to be healthy. They are. My genetics are horrible. I mean, like literally, my genes are not the special genes that I wish they were. But here's the thing. I know how to keep the body healthy because I'm simply supporting it with everything the body needs. So in this phase 2, you want to think about what are the items that provide you with these sulfur-beta amino acids: the glycine, taurine, glutamine, N-acetylcysteine, methionine. All of these things, they come from sulfur-based amino acids. So broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, and it can even come from garlic. And a lot of these sulfur-based things that will help to take the harmful fat-soluble metabolite, get it out of your body by breaking it down to a water-soluble metabolite that then can easily be removed without you even knowing about it through your stool, your urine, through your sweat, or maybe even a little bit through your lungs when you exercise. So this is the beautiful thing about the body. It knows how to heal. That's what naturopathy is all about. I'm going to talk more about naturopathy, like what it really is in the future. But naturopathy, pathy means basically suffering or disease, right? What we're looking at is using nature, right? Naturopathy, to using nature and everything that it gave us in order to get rid of the diseases of the body or the suffering that the body, right? All these symptoms. So we're not looking to treat disease, cure disease, diagnose disease. We're saying things happen at a much deeper level. And as long as you support your body with the right vitamins and minerals and amino acids and antioxidants, etc., protein as well, that your body's going to be able to do its job. And then you're going to just keep up with it. Again, you don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. All you want to do is do your best. And if I could recommend and I suggest, do a functional medicine detox every 12 weeks. If you have a functional medicine doctor or integrative health practitioner that specializes in this, you can work right alongside them. If you'd like to do the one that we do, we do it every 12 weeks. You can see it over at equilibriumnutrition.com, and it's just a 7, 14, or 21 day. But you'll know, again, we're just trying to teach you. I gave you everything that it needs in there. You just want to make sure you get those things. And you want them at a higher dosage, and you want to follow a specific detox food plan that doesn't cause more burden to your liver during those 7, 14, or 21 days. So hopefully today's podcast was helpful. I appreciate you tuning in. I could talk about this for hours. I'm going to keep it at that for today. If you do want more information, there's a lot more at StephenCabral.com/1222. That's today's show notes. I'll link the detox up there. I'll link the toxicity test up there if anybody wants to do that. I'll link up the hair tissue mineral analysis, the thyroid adrenal hormone, the image that shows you all the nutrients that are needed. I'll put everything right there, episode 823. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please do feel free to pass this show along to anyone else you believe it could serve. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to StephenCabral.com/resources.